Good evening, Commanders Nation. So Nikki Giavalov just recently dropped a bomb-ass article. Like this woman, when she writes, we read. Simple as that. You know, she's one of my favorite beat writers, beat reporters, beatniks, not like that. But you know, it was regarding the biggest takeaways from the Commanders minicamp, a minicamp in which I feel was kind of event-worthy, honestly. And it's just minicamp, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna go through the biggest takeaways that she thinks, and also just I'm gonna give my little shit input, little reports here and there. But yeah, I'm gonna put the link in the description. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Because yeah, it was a really good read. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. Let's help support Washington Post. I don't know what the fuck that means. But yeah, man, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. All right, so the first thing that she points out, how she thinks, I'm going to put each item right here, how the O-line has a chance to be pretty good this upcoming year. And, you know, before I go into her analysis, the O-line last year, like, they surpassed expectations. Coach Bobby Johnson, like, when he first got hired, he was like the first, he was like, I'm not even the first, but the only head coaching hire, under the Dan Quinn tree. That we were just like, oh, what the fuck? This guy right here, he didn't even fight a freaking player on the field, you know. But he shut my fat ass up. He shut all of us up. Like with that O-line that he was given last year, with the talent that was on display, he surpassed expectations. Like the O-line surpassed expectations. I thought the O-line was gonna be complete trash, you know. But they ended up playing. There was a little bit ups and downs, but they were pretty solid for the most part. They were just solid. You know, they weren't great, but they weren't terribly bad, but they did worse towards the end of the season. But anyways, she's stating, obviously, that with the arrival of, you know, Laremy Tunsil, huge upgrade. You know, left tackle set now. We got a top 5 left tackle in the league. You know, drafting Josh Connolly Jr., but also moving my boy, Brandon Coleman, to left guard, which was already, Dan Quinn already confirmed it. He's like, no, he's playing left guard, dude. And I was like, all right, bet. You know, and she brought up a good stat, you know, because Coleman will now be left guard, taking over Nick Allegretti, who Nick Allegretti himself allowed a team-high 33 pressures last season. Now, I'm not trying to dog on Nick Allegretti. He reminds me of like Wes Schweitzer. I don't know if y'all remember him. You know, like a guy, jack of all trades, like very versatile. You know, Ron Rivera versatile, all that fun stuff. But he is kind of like that. He's you know, you need Nick Allegretti to win in this league. You know, he can play, you know, both guard positions. He can play a bit even center from what I've read. But, you know, I like the Nick Allegretti signing. It wasn't even that much we signed him for. So, but, you know, he was, you know, 33 pressures last year, team high, according to PFF. But, you know, but anyways, we got like a new revamped line. You know, Tunsil, now Coleman at left guard, which he should, like, you know, to me, is like he has a high ceiling there. Biotish. Hopefully Sam Cosmi comes back fully healthy before week 1. Josh Connolly Jr., first round pick. But yeah, man, like she's saying over here that she believes that like the O-line could go from, you know, could have a big jump this upcoming season. You know, going to pretty good status. But the second thing she points out, the second biggest takeaway, is Sam Cosmi is progressing in his recovery. Now, Dan Quinn recently stated in a press conference that he's actually doing pretty good. You know, she writes down here that, you know, Sam Cosmi, who signed a 4-year, $74 million contract before last season, you know, during minicamp, he was off to the side, just jogging, working with the team's athletic trainers to build up strength in his leg. He's hitting all the benchmarks, according to that's what Dan Quinn said here in the article. But yeah, man, like, you know, Nick Allegretti. Like Nick Allegretti, even Andrew Wiley, we don't know who's going to play right guard. I'm assuming if Cosmi is out week 1, we don't know yet. I mean, signs are pointing that he's progressing good, which is awesome. But yeah, you know, that's good news. That is good news to hear, man. Because Sam Cosmi, like, you know, granted he didn't have that Pro Bowl season that we were all expecting him to have last year. He can bounce back. I still think he's a future Pro Bowler. The third thing she wants to talk about. The biggest takeaway, the third biggest takeaway from the minicamp, she wrote down that the defensive line is to be determined. What does that mean? So Dan Quinn said this, and also Coach Witt Jr. And I posted clips about it. I'm lazy right now. I don't want to post clips again. They basically stated and they insinuated that the defensive line is going to be like a rotational piece. Like there is not going to be a dude who's going to be playing, like 95% of the snaps. And I feel like the closest guy to that is probably going to be Deron Payne, then probably Armstrong, but then everybody else, I'm assuming Newton's going to get the second most defensive tackle snaps. But like that opposite edge spot, like it's going to be Dietrich Wise or Kinlaw or, Clelin Ferrell on the first and second down run stopping situations. Third down, that's when you put in Javonte Jean-Baptiste or Jacob Martin or fuck it, even both. Even both. I'm assuming they're going to be both competing, but like, she's stating it right here also that, this is going to be a heavy rotation. There's going to be fresh legs in this rotation, which I like. The focus is obviously stopping the run, which we couldn't do last year. And, we're playing against the Eagles. Eagles are our biggest competition. We got to stop that run, dude. But yeah, man, she's saying over here, without an elite pass rusher and more of an emphasis on a bigger personnel, Washington may have to scheme up pass protections or pass pressures. She said, hello, Frankie Luvu, and rely more on its coverage. But it's impossible to see how it all shake out. But, she said that, it's still to be determined regarding, the entire thing. Next on the list is regarding how she writes down here, another takeaway she had. The secondary might have 3 really good corners. Look, Trey Amos has been like the talk of the camp, the talk of the offseason. From OTAs to now to minicamp, Marshawn Lattimore looks rejuvenated. Man looks hungry. And even Sandestill in the Commanders website, they pointed him out as like one of the guys who's like, is standing out in these minicamps. The Commanders website pointed out. That's 3 corners right there. It looks like we have our 3 corners for the next couple of seasons, for the next couple of years. And she's stating right here that, Lattimore seems rejuvenated. He's over here saying also complimenting Amos, saying that his technique is there. From what I see as far as his technique, he looks complete. He's a rookie and it's early, but throughout the season, I just feel like he's going to keep getting up and keep getting better as the season goes, But yeah, like we have a nice foundation out in the boundary, dude. People forget about this. I always bring this up in videos. Also, we got nice depth. If Jonathan Jones and Noah Igbenagne, I said it correctly. I did. They're going to be on your bench. Jonathan Jones can play out in the boundary, out in slot. It's just night and day, this cornerback room compared to last year. Like if God forbid somebody gets injured, slide in Jonathan Jones. Noah Igbenagne, starting slot from last year, who did pretty solid. He was solid, We got depth. We got depth. Hey, man, I'm really liking this cornerback room. Total upgrade. Next takeaway she had was that there's at least one spot for a grabs at wide receiver. Granted, the Terry McLaurin situation is going on. I'm not gonna harp about it. I'm not. It's gonna get done. It's gonna get done, dude. It's gonna get done. It probably got done right now. The fuck. Let me get Nikki Giovanni's page up. It's not done yet, but it's gonna get done, dude. I'm not worried about that at all. People who are making that a big deal, I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck, boy? But she's saying that because, well, there's a couple injuries that happened. Unfortunately, with Noah Brown, we don't know yet. He was carted off the field with an undisclosed injury on Wednesday. But also Michael Gallup strained his hamstring. 2 big veterans. Granted, Michael Gallup's, he needs to work his way back in, but prayers to those 2, especially Noah Brown, because he looks like it could be severe. We don't know yet. But I'm not worried about it because Luke was impressing. He was the number 1 person on the Commanders website that said that this guy impressed in the OTAs. In the mini camps. And then also, another dude that was impressing a lot was wide receiver Chris Moore, 10-year veteran. So, granted, of course I want them all to be healthy, but and then we got Jalen Lane, Ja'Cory. I'm just like, Ja'Cory Brooks as well. But it does suck, but it does leave a spot up, like she said, a spot up for grabs at wide receiver. It could be temporarily because when Noah Brown comes back, if God forbid it's nothing serious, but now these snaps are available, like in practice, people can, but granted, they're going to have to wait to training camp, but still, But yeah, man, like even though with that, like, I like our wide receiver room. I really do. Like Luke McCaffrey's doing his thing. Jalen Lane's doing his thing as well. Let him battle it out. Let him battle it out. But it looks like she said, somebody's going to have to step up. There's one spot up for grabs at wide receiver. Next, she talks about some young players impressed. I'm going to put it right here. She says Jordan McGee is one. And then also Ben Sinnott is another. And Johnny Newton. Jordan McGee, pretty sure y'all heard this already. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but like Joe Wade Jr. was just like, dude, in his rookie year, we're going to give him his own package so he can play in the season, like in the snaps. He got injured, but he's back. He's impressing. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's our third down linebacker in nickel situations, replacing Bobby Wagner in passing down situations. But, Jordan McGee, man, he's, and Ben Sinnott. Jeez. Him as well. They're saying that he said it himself, like he's much more comfortable this offseason, much more comfortable, and that's what the hell he's doing. Came out really raw coming out. But, yeah, man. And then Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton is the one just like, he had a foot injury last offseason. But now just like Dan Quinn said to himself, like his lower extremities, are much more strong up to this point. He can squat more. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know. Dan Quinn basically said his words, he's stronger down there. He has strong legs, basically. He's much more like, he's coming in this offseason not having to worry about the injury, and basically just looks stronger all around. And this is a guy where I'm just like, we need him to freaking break out, man. And I feel like he is actually. Definitely he is. I'm predicting like 7 sacks for him, to be honest with you. But yeah, man. And lastly, she says Jaden Daniels is still Jaden Daniels. We all saw, everybody was like, oh shit, Jaden Daniels looks like he's got bigger, muscular, da. Yeah, he did. That's what I just expect from Jaden. He in like 1 year, he already like won me over for like the next 10 years. Like Jaden is that dude, man. Like in ESPN, they're talking about like a sophomore slump. What the fuck with Jaden? No. He's coming in even more determined this offseason than he was even last year. And that's, people don't forget, people who are not in the DMV don't know how competitive Jaden Daniels is. This man is like, just like the prototypical quarterback that I've always envisioned. Like he has obviously all the physical qualities, all, but the thing that stands out to me is just his leadership, his mindset. He's not a freaking diva. He's not a diva as these quarterbacks were in the past. I'm not going to say names. I freaking love Jaden Daniels, man. Blessed. We are blessed. I'm not going to even read this about Jaden Daniels because, to be honest with you, like, I'm just like, this is all stuff we know about him. He's like, they're talking about his accuracy, his footwork, his body mechanics, all that. He didn't want it to improve. Looks like he did. Like Jaden Daniels, to me, I keep saying this, dude. Like, we may be witnessing, or we may be on the precipice of witnessing the greatest player in franchise history. When we are old and crusty, when we're 85 years old, we may very well look back and say, damn it, dude. We witnessed Jaden Daniels play in his prime. When the Commanders, in 60 years from now, the Commanders may never see a better player like this. We may never see a better player like this, dude. And I don't want to give him so much hype, but like, dude, like, and no offense to all the previous Redskins or Commanders greats, but like, that's how I feel about Jaden Daniels. I feel like we are living like in possible, like, we are living in unprecedented times with him here. Like, we're not taking into account, like, he could very well be one of the best players in franchise history, and we're going to witness it. We're going to witness it. That's like, I don't know. That always, like, takes me aback whenever I say that, but I'm sleepy. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. But yeah, man, those are the 7 biggest takeaways from Nikki Giavala. Good read. Highly suggested. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'd truly appreciate it. Till next video. Peace, y'all.